Waterfalls, no, no, no. Keep the faith, you'll have it all. Slow, slow, slow. Listen to the rivers and the streams that you're used to. Welcome to episode 29 of My Views Extended. I am your host, Nadia, and thank you so much for coming back this week if you are a return listener, and thank you for checking me out if you're a new listener. Aside from this podcast, you can learn more about me and what's going on in my world at nadiadanel.com, where I post on Mondays, Wordless Monday, and I give my interpretation through pictures. Wednesdays, How's It Going Wednesday, where I share what's been happening in my parts of the world. And quite frankly, sometimes there's not much to share, so I don't share anything. And Fridays, where I focus on various recipes, reviews, and DIYs. I am currently in the process of getting my YouTube cooking channel set up, and hopefully that will be coming soon. I know I've been saying that for a while, but when you're a one-woman show, sometimes it takes a little longer than you anticipated. You can also keep up with me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter, and I will leave links to all social media sites in the show notes. There are a few updates this week. All of them actually are happening in Canada. The Tim Bosma murder trial in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada has finally concluded. Tim Bosma was murdered in 2013 while on a test drive to sell his truck. He was murdered by two people, and this past Friday, both men were found guilty of first-degree murder with no possibility of parole for 25 years. In Canada, we do not have the death penalty. The 12-person jury took 5 days to decide the fate of these two people, and it's a good thing, and I'm happy and relieved that the ordeal is over for the family and friends of Tim Bosma, and that now that this trial is over and these two people are sentenced, we hope for life. Hopefully they won't come up for parole in 25 years, that the healing can continue for them. In Canada, they have now legalized physician-assisted suicide. The new law, and I'll quote, limits the option to the incurably ill, requires medical approval, and mandates a 15-day waiting period. The bill was introduced in April of 2016 this year, and the Senate passed the vote this Friday. So that is actually a relatively quick change for, I think, most countries. And if things get passes quickly, I know a lot of times they can go for years and decades before anything is ever amended or changed completely. With the passing of this bill, it doesn't mean that this is a free-for-all and anyone can request physician-assisted suicide. I'll just read some of the requirements that were outlined in the article that I read from npr.org, and it's just a short form of the basic requirements. One is to be eligible for physician-assisted suicide, you need to be eligible for government-funded health care, a requirement limiting assisted suicides to Canada and permanent residents, and this is, of course, to prevent suicide tourism, which happens in other countries where suicide is legal. And the countries that are listed are Switzerland, Germany, Albania, Colombia, Japan, and the U.S. states of Washington, Oregon, Vermont, New Mexico, and Montana. Another requirement is the person must be a mentally competent adult 18 or older. They must have a serious and incurable disease, illness, or disability, and they must be in an advanced state of irreversible decline with enduring and intolerable suffering. So Canada is on board. I think it was Quebec. They were wanting the laws. I think it was last year, I believe they wanted the laws to get changed. But I guess now that Canada has done it, they are included, I'm assuming. They are part of Canada. So yeah, I guess this is something to discuss with your doctor if you or a family member are in need of such a service. It is not illegal any longer. Gay men abstinent for a year cleared by Health Canada to donate blood. And I'm probably assuming that this went through because of the recent shootings in Orlando, Florida. And of course, because they needed a lot of blood and people, of course, were turned away. I'm assuming only that they, if a crisis were to happen and they need blood, they don't want to turn away a lot of people. But anyway, it's not perfect, but it's a start. I know that a lot of people in the LGBTQ community are not going to be happy about this. most people in adult relationships have sex, so asking your partner to not have sex for a year so that you can give blood is most likely not going to happen. There are plenty of straight people who engage in the same kind of sex that gay men do, but supposedly because they're straight, they are supposedly safer. And of course, I say that with a question mark. And with a lot of sarcasm, that's not true. There are careless people of all sexualities. Health Canada said that the change will take effect across the country on August 15th of this year, 2016. So I guess Canada, we have gone from not allowing gay men to donate blood to, if you have abstained from sex for a year, you may give blood. That's not very realistic. If there's testing getting done, you have to go through the questionnaire, your blood is tested before it goes into the system. What's the difference? Are they not catching issues, whatever issues they are with blood, when straight people donate blood anyways? Like everybody's blood has to be tested, so I don't understand the difference. I don't know. It's not my community, so I don't know. What does the LGBTQ community think about this? I'm sure most of you are, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know. Many of you are not happy, but I think I would assume that many of you are. Is a step in the right direction, and hopefully in a short period of time we can get the 1 year amended, and as long as you're having safe sex, like with the heterosexual community, it should be okay. And of course, the blood is going to get tested before it goes into the system to be given to people in need. Could we get better? Yes, but it's a start as far as I'm concerned. Smith Falls, Ontario. A funeral home in Smith Falls, Ontario, which is, I believe, it's relatively close to Ottawa, Ontario. The funeral business, they apparently dissolve the dead and pour the remains into the town sewers. The company uses an alkaline solution to dissolve human remains and then drain the leftover coffee-colored effluents into the sewer system. The skeletal remains are then dried in a convection oven, pressed into a fine white powder, and finally returned to the loved one's family to be scattered. And this is, of course, part of the green movement or green technology in the funeral business. I think I spoke about this on another podcast, and they've been doing this for a while, where they basically put the body in a shroud, I believe is the word. Yeah, you clean the body. I don't believe it's embalmed, because that interrupts the decomposition process, and they shroud it and then they bury it, and so it doesn't have the barrier of the embalming fluid or the coffin to inhibit the decomposition, and then it goes back to the earth at a faster rate, I believe. I'm not sure about the embalming part. I can't remember, because I know when you're at a funeral home, if the casket is open, by law, health regulation, you have to embalm it because of, the decomposition. Even if it's only a few days, that can cause disease in living people. So I'm not sure positive about that part. But anyway, this dissolving the body is supposed to be more environmentally friendly, because in regular burials, it takes the body approximately 15 to 20 years, which is a long time, but it makes sense, to disintegrate, of course, because of that they were embalmed and declosed and pretty much airtight coffin. So that's a long time for the body to disintegrate. I don't know how I feel about this. When I think about all of the crap, figuratively and literally, that is sent down the drains or that is dropped into flowing water every day, what's the big deal, really? There are animal carcasses that fall in the water all of the time, things, bird droppings that fall in the water, medications that we flush down the toilet, whether, from an expired medicine bottle or just we take the medicine, and when we do our bodily eliminations, 1 or 2, that goes down into the system. Blood gets into this water system. Human animals that end up in the water through various causes all of the time. As long as the water is decontaminated and filtered according to health regulations, I can't really see a problem with it. But on the other hand, for people who are squeamish, if you know that human remains are being dumped, say you live in Smith Falls or right next to Smith Falls, and you know that human remains are being dumped into the water system that you pass by every day, and in a couple days or however long that filtration process takes, that filtered water filtered and decontaminated water. You're going to be drinking it in the next few days, washing your face with it, bathing with it, cooking your food with it. That could be disturbing to a lot of people, or not. I know that everything that is in the air and on the earth will somehow, through some process, end up in the water system. So I don't, when I really think about it, I really don't see the big deal. Do you find this new funeral business trend disturbing, or do you trust that your city's water treatment system program is going to do their job to keep us safe, keep the water as clean as they can, so we are not affected by it? I just wanted to talk about not an article that I read or research paper that I read, but rather customer service at stores. I was watching a vlog from a YouTuber, and I don't know. I don't really know if I'm going to I don't know how I feel about naming people. It wasn't a negative thing. It was just a question that came up. So anyway, I was watching a vlog from a YouTuber, and they were talking about customer service, or rather the lack of customer service that they received when they went to a store. It was in another country that they were visiting, and the lack of customer service, and they always have, every time they go to this country, they have the same kind of experience, and they're pretty sure it's because they're a different race from the majority of the people there. But anyway, they went to the store to purchase some clothing, I believe it was, and they weren't greeted when they asked for help. They were ignored, they were given dirty looks, just really rude. When they went to pay, they didn't even speak to them. They just kind of took the item, took their credit card, ignored them, dealing with other customers at the same time. Nothing. No respect, no greeting, no basic, that's another human being, nothing. I listened to their story and I thought, this is utter madness. Why would you give a store your business if they can't even treat you with basic respect? I don't care what the reason was. If it was race, if it was perceived lack of money or status, because if you go to certain stores, if they think that you don't look the part or you don't look like you have money, they don't really want to deal with you because I think that you're wasting their time, or this person can't possibly afford this. Whether they think because you don't speak their language. I don't care what the reason is, there is no excuse for bad customer service. And I'm going to assume that the person was polite because, you can't expect respect if you don't give it. And I don't think that this person was rude. They don't seem like a rude person. I personally have walked out of a store or stores over the years because of being ignored. When other customers have come in before you and they're talking with them, and then other customers have come in after me and they were greeted and helped and fawned over and smiled, and you're being completely ignored. You're talking to them and they literally walk off or pretend they don't hear you. I just don't understand. There is no excuse for that. I've called the customer service. I've done a few things. I've called the customer service or the head office to complain. Not that anything was ever done about it. And as I said in the comment section, I wrote a little bit of stuff, but at the end I said, there isn't a material thing on this earth that I need more than my dignity and respect. I'm not giving this company money, whether it's the feelings of the founders of the company or just their employees. I'm not giving them my business. I will shop elsewhere. What do you do in situations like this? Do you shop there anyways? Do you leave the store? Do you shop and then complain afterwards? Do you confront the employee who is ignoring you, or try to confront them? I don't know if you can ever get their attention. Do you ask to speak to the manager right away? Do you badmouth the company on social media or warn friends and family to stay away from them, by telling them your bad experience? What do you do when you receive bad customer service, or in this case, really no customer service except to take your credit card for the merchandise? I personally, I don't put up with it, and I have no problem either keeping my money or spending it elsewhere. I'll say it again, there isn't a material thing on this earth. Material thing, remember, that I need more than my dignity and respect. I don't know if she had to prove that, yeah, I can shop here or I will shop here, but nope, not me. But everybody to each their own. Some people are going to shop and it's going to make them want to shop more, especially if it's known that they're not wanted there. But a company learns by how much their sales are at the end of the day. And if they get enough bad publicity through whether it's just not a lot of customers coming through, or if there's somebody who has a lot of social media influence, that can really affect their bottom line and whether they get that new cottage or their third or second home. Customers speak through our wallets. What I'm grateful for this past week. I'm grateful for, it's pretty simple this week. I'm grateful for the reminder that even with my brown skin, I am not immune to sunburn, which equals sun damage, which could lead to skin cancer down the line, especially if it happens over and over and over again. I don't make a habit to go out without sunscreen or protective clothing, but the one time that I do, I regret it. And that is my hat, my big sun hat. I love my hat. The peel, my sunburn peel was from not this Sunday, but the Sunday before when I went out. And that peel started Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. And it started on my nose, my cheeks, went onto my forehead by Thursday. I haven't had a burn like that since I was a teenager. And I'll be honest though, I am more worried about how this will age my skin rather than the risk of cancer. I'm doing pretty well when it comes to the lack of lines and wrinkles, but this kind of damage does not help. I will admit vanity wins in this case. My hat is always coming with me from now on, even if it's stuffed in my backpack until I need it or hanging from my neck. I forgot how bad peels are. You burn and the peel, and it literally, it started Tuesday night and it's now Monday, almost coming. Well, tomorrow is going to be another week, or today that when this is uploaded, and I'm still peeling. It's ridiculous. I look like a snake. Sunburns happen to everybody. I know a lot of people don't like to use the commercial sunscreen because a lot of people and various research shows that some of them can actually cause skin cancer, but dermatologists say that it prevents skin cancer. And there are some DIY or homemade, or you can buy them made up of either, I think, combination of coconut oil and I want to say shea butter, or you can just put on one or the other, and it doesn't give full protection like the traditional commercial ones that we see in the store, but it's better than nothing, which I have used coconut oil and shea butter as a sunscreen. Yeah. So I don't know. You want to use it, but it's like, am I risking my skin? So I go back to the natural stuff, but then other dermatologists and people will say clothing is better. If you just cover up with, I think they say if you can't see your skin through it, because some certain clothes are really, really thin. You can literally see your skin through it. As long as you can't see your skin through it, that should be adequate protection for your skin. And then the same with the hat. If you can't see your hair, I guess, or your head through it, again, that should be adequate protection. Everybody needs to cover up in whatever way that you feel. I know a lot of people argue saying that Black people don't need protection because look at all those people in Africa. None of them are dying of skin cancer. But I think the sun's a little bit different because I've heard from people who are from other countries, other continents, and they said the sun is different here. Obviously, it's the same sun, but because of where we are on the equator, it affects their skin differently. And then, of course, depending on where you are on the earth, the ozone layer is thinner or thicker. All that makes a difference. So I don't know. I just prefer to err on the side of caution and protect my skin, whether through clothing or some kind of lotion I put on it to protect it. I don't want to get burned again for the rest of my life because, it's not, vanity wins. It's not cute. Thank you for tuning in to episode 29 of My Views Extended. I would love to hear feedback and comments of what you think of this podcast and the topics that I've discussed this week. You can listen to My Views Extended at nadiadanelle.com and YouTube, where you can subscribe, like, rate, and or leave a comment. Closed captioning is back on the YouTube channel, so if you choose to or can't listen, you can read through closed captioning. I will leave links in the show notes, and as more listening platforms are added or changed, I will let you know.